Hello, welcome to the first of these tutorial videos that I'm going to do. Um, this one is going to be about the basics of After Effects. It's the stuff we covered in the Zoom lesson about 3 and a bit weeks ago. But obviously, I realized that it's not great doing this stuff over Zoom. It's kind of annoying and kind of difficult to follow me and also click away on After Effects, whatever. So yeah, this is kind of the going over the basics again. It's going over what we did last time on Zoom. So keyframing, compositions, layers, and the effects panel, and also kind of exporting and stuff. It's yeah. So like it might be kind of some stuff that people already know. If you know a bit about After Effects, it might kind of be going over some basics that you already know. But I think even still, it's good to watch along. I'll try keep it kind of as concise as possible. But as I said in the email, it's kind of good to get a it's good to have these basics down and to kind of feel a bit more like secure within like the whole kind of the way that After Effects like the workflow functions. So that way when we move on to more stuff, like the more fun stuff, you'll kind of feel a bit more kind of secure. But also, I mean, you can do so much with this once you get a kind of good understanding of this part that I'm going to talk about today. Like that's where I started with After Effects, and that's kind of still in a weird way like all I ever use is just this stuff that we're gonna talk about, and just different kind of versions of it or different kind of taking it in different places. But yeah, these basics are kind of the stuff that you need to know really. So and yeah, also I'm gonna ask you to this thing that's playing right now. This is just yeah using very simple, it's a piece of text moving and a video coming in and out like with opacity and this kind of thing. And this is what I'm gonna ask you to actually do a couple of after we've like play after I've been through this. Sorry. And if you remember this DVD one from the Zoom session, this is also using the same techniques. So I'm going to ask you for next week, for the 5th, to basically bring in, to experiment with this stuff, to make a couple of these kind of moving collages with like asset, like some video, some image, some text, some sound, this kind of thing. And then we can talk about your findings afterwards. Anyway, that was a long introduction. So let's get into some After Effects stuff. Yeah, one thing I should say as well is that I tried to record this tutorial a couple of times yesterday, like 2.5 times, and it didn't work because my computer once it just the recording just stopped halfway through and I didn't realize. And then also and in another one my computer died halfway through because it was too hardcore with the multiple recordings going on. So third time lucky. Hopefully this one goes a bit more smoothly. All right, cool. So I just opened up After Effects. You can do that in any way you want. It might come up with that with a couple of little error messages or something, or just like little messages. But you can just like click OK. I think all that stuff is fine. It might come up with this home thing, but you can also just click off that. That's kind of where you would just open up a new or a recent project, but that's fine. So this is After Effects. Like I said, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through a couple of the very basic things, the things that I covered in the first lesson as well. So this is After Effects, everybody. This is this over here is the project panel. So this is where you will load in. This is where it will list things like your assets, like any images, videos, audio, anything like this, and it'll list also your compositions and your pre-compositions or something like that, and just any other things that come up. Any other kind of assets or things to work with will be stored here. Down here is the composition timeline. We'll get onto that when we load in some assets. Here is your viewing window, like where you'll see what you're working on, but we haven't got anything yet, so it's kind of blank. And over here on the right are some panels that have different things. Usually there's a few more, but anyway, the kind of the basic ones actually, yeah, is this info one, this preview one, and this effects and presets. And in the effects and presets, it's got many folders full of effects. Basically, After Effects has got probably, I don't know, like hundreds of inbuilt effects that you can basically use on top. You can use to kind of affect and change and modify like your assets, your images and your audio and stuff. Then up here is the toolbar. This arrow here is a selection tool. It's probably the one you'll use the most. It's just for like clicking and dragging and like all that stuff. And then up here at the top is like the normal menu system. And if you're using Windows, this is all kind of the same as well. Cool. So I'm gonna first thing I'm gonna do is open up a new composition. So After Effects uses compositions. Premiere, like if you've ever used Premiere or Final Cut or anything, they use sequences. But it's basically the same thing. It's just like it's like a container for like your work, and you can have like multiple compositions and like and this kind of thing. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna open a new composition. Gonna go to composition, new composition. You can also do Command N, and you can also use this little button down here, this little square with some colors on it. That'll, if you just click that, it'll bring up this window. This is the composition settings window, and so here you can give it a name. I'm going to say VAV comp, and you can, so in this window you say the resolution of your composition, which I'm going to go 1920. So 1920 1080 is a HD composition. So like full HD. So if you ever hear the term HD, it's that. And 4K is twice that. So it's 3840 by 2160. One thing you can do in After Effects that's quite cool, any kind of number box, you can do kind of simple multiplication or like simple stuff like that. So if I want it to be twice as big, I can do multiplied by 2 and then click off it, and then the whole thing is just been multiplied by 2, and that happens throughout the whole of After Effects. You can do that kind of stuff, but I'm going to go divide by 2 because I actually just want HD. And then you can choose the frame rate. So it's got a little drop down menu here. 25 and 30 are kind of like the most standard ones, or 25 and 2997 as well. That's kind of a normal one. I'm gonna go 30 just for the sake of argument. But like you can use any of these, and you can put in your own number as well if you want. And you can choose the duration. I'm gonna go just 10 seconds is fine. You can do like 10 hours or like 10 frames or whatever there. And background color, so you can choose the background color. I'm just going to go black, that's fine. And then click OK, and then it'll create a new composition. So yeah, you can zoom out and in. You can use the zoom tool here and hold Option to go out and regular to go in. Or you can do Command minus and plus for that. And so I've got a composition here, and what I can do now, you'll notice it's brought up, it's made VAV comp here in the project window. And actually, I'm going to change the composition settings because I actually want, I don't know if you remember the thing I had before with the moving text. It actually had, it was a bit more of a widescreen thing. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go up here, go to composition and composition settings. I can also do Command K, and then I'm actually going to say I want the height. I'm going to take this lock aspect ratio off so I can choose whatever size I want, and I'm going to go height. I'm actually going to do 540, and you'll notice then in the background it's made it already more not as high. So then I'm going to go OK. So you're OK. I've got it now. I've got this composition that's the size that I want it. And from here I'm going to go. I'm going to add some assets. And the way that I can do that is I can go to Control. I can right click on this project window. I can go Import File, and that should bring up the this thing. I'm gonna go to my desktop and I'm gonna get this download thing, which is actually that DVD logo that we got from last session. Another way I can bring assets in is just by like going to the Finder, and I can like just click and drag stuff in there. So I'm gonna take in this video. I'm also gonna maybe get another little thing from the desktop, like this emoji thing. I can also bring in like I can also get kind of I can bring in audio in here. So I'm just gonna take a little thing like an MP3. That's fine. Yeah, cool. So now I've got an image, a PNG, I've got an MP3, I've got a PNG, I've got an MP4, and so then with that I can start bringing these things into the composition. So I'm gonna click and drag this, drag it into here. So that's like brought in the video. I'm gonna bring in this this party popper thing that's in there. So now you see down here, I've got 2 layers, and layers in After Effects work the same as kind of Photoshop or whatever. Whatever's on top in the layers thing, that comes up. That's like things that are on top of each other in here end up visually on top of each other. So I can put this party popper underneath this Spike Eyes video, and now it's gone. It's disappeared because it's actually behind the video. And I'm gonna bring that down so then I can see the party popper again. I can also use this down here, this little eyeball thing, which means I can toggle on and off the opacity of it, or like the visibility of it, like that. Cool. So now we've got some stuff in, and what I can do now is I can press the spacebar, and the spacebar will basically preview the thing. It'll play what you've got in the timeline. Cool. And actually, maybe I don't want the audio, so I can. So each layer, any layer that has audio attached, like a video or something, down here as well, you can toggle on and off the whether the audio is on or off. So if you get rid of the little thing, it means there's no audio, so I can play it again. Cool. And then I can bring in like an MP3 into there, so that also comes up as just another layer, and I can play it. Cool. And now it's got audio, but I don't want that MP3 right now. So I'm gonna now we're gonna move into how to move things around, or I'm gonna go into keyframing. So I would like say I would like this party popper to move around. And the way we do that is, so say I want it to start over here, and I want it to end up over here, over the course of 10 seconds or something. The way that After Effects works, it works with keyframes, right? So this is the timeline. It's like over here is 0 seconds, and over here is 10 seconds. I can use this little blue playhead to drag up and down. That's the same as like Premiere or whatever, like similar kind of idea. And what I can do is select the party popper layer, and then down here I can go these little drop down arrows. I can click down, and I can see these if I click down on the transform, I can see these 5 parameters. And basically in After Effects, every asset you have has these parameters, basically, like has at least these parameters. They're kind of like just the basic things you can do with a kind of layer. So I am gonna so it's got anchor point. Anchor point is this middle point that you can move around, and it's where things like rotate around, for instance. So you can have the anchor point over here, and the thing will rotate around that point. And then I have the position, so that's literally the position of this layer. And you'll see when you move it around down here, you'll see these numbers moving around. So that's just the position of the thing. And the scale, so you can you can change it by changing these numbers. You can also move it around. So I'm going to change the scale here. It goes up and down, and 100 is like full normal size. And yeah, I can change it with the I can also grab these little things and move it up and down. Click and drag and make it bigger and smaller. The rotation I can change with these numbers. Also, I can use this rotation tool up here, so I can click and drag and rotate. And then I can also, at any point, I can do Command Z to undo, or up here, edit, undo. And then I'm going to go back onto the selection tool. And then I've got opacity. So right now it's at 100. I can put it onto 0, so it disappears, basically. Cool. So now that I've explained those, I'm basically what I want to do now is explain keyframes. So anything that has this little stopwatch you can see down here means it's keyframeable. And if I click the stopwatch, you'll notice that it turns blue, and it's made a little blue. It's made a little, well, it doesn't have to be blue, but a little thing, a little point here. And this is a keyframe. What it's saying is that at this point on this timeline, at 0 seconds, the position of this layer is here, exactly here, right? And I'm gonna drag along the timeline. I'm gonna go to the end of the timeline, and I'm gonna select this layer, and I'm gonna drag it along to the right. And I'm holding Shift here. If I hold Shift, it'll drag in like a straight line. And then I'm gonna let go. And when I let go, you'll notice that it's created another keyframe. So that means that at this point, at 10 seconds, the layer is actually here now. So if I go back to the start with this playhead, and I click and I hit spacebar, you'll notice the party popper layer is now moving. Cool. So that is basically like the very basic idea of a keyframe. And so what I can do now is I can add to these keyframes. So say I actually want say I want the scale to change at the same time. Oh no, let's say I want the rotation to change, right? So then I will click the little stopwatch. I'll put it back to wherever I want, but I'll put it back to the beginning of the timeline. I'll hit rotation stopwatch, and then I will move to let's say, like, I'll move to the middle. I'll move to 5 seconds. You'll see down here it says 5 seconds, and I'm gonna say I want it to rotate like I'm gonna click this and drag it. I want it to rotate like a whole bunch of times for nearly 4.5 rotations, right? And that means that if I go back to the beginning, it's gonna, at the same time as moving in position, it's gonna be rotating as well. But then you'll notice that because it's halfway along the timeline, it stopped rotating. Yeah, and but then it carries on moving because the position keyframe is still moving. So I'm gonna go to the end of the timeline now, and I'm actually gonna reset this. Or what I can do, I could click this and click like 0 and 0. Yeah, and that would like reset it as well. But I'm gonna undo that, because what I can actually do is select this keyframe and copy and paste it. So I can do Command C, or I can do like, yeah, edit, copy, yeah, same thing. And then go to the end of the timeline, and I can do Command V, or edit, paste. And what that's done, you'll notice, is it's taken this keyframe and it's copied it over here. It's like pasted it here. So now if I play, it's gonna like rotate this way, but then it's gonna, because it'll go to 4.5 rotations, and then it'll start going the other way again. Cool. So with that kind of copying keyframes, you can get some like really interesting stuff really quickly. And quickly, yeah. So like I'll say maybe I want it to also scale up at the same time. So I'm gonna click the scale keyframe at the beginning again of the timeline. I'm gonna go a quarter of the way now, and I'm gonna go like, I want the scale to go like really small. I want it to like almost go away, yeah. So like there, And then I'm gonna go halfway on the timeline. I'm gonna make it go really big. And then I want to go like 3/4 of the way. I want it to go really small again. Cool. And then maybe I want it to be exactly the same size as it was at the beginning. So I'm going to take this keyframe. I'm going to copy it. Yeah, this keyframe, this scale keyframe right at the beginning. So I want it to be this size. And then I'm going to go right to the end and I'm going to paste that keyframe. So now it's exactly the same size as it was at the beginning. And now I can press a spacebar and it's going to go like small, still rotating, still moving. It's going to go super big. And then it's going to go rotate the other way, go down, and then yeah, to the end. Sweet. And say maybe I actually want it to get bit like much bigger in like this isn't big enough, right? So I can go to this keyframe. I can also, as I'm scrubbing along, I can hold shift and it like snaps to keyframes, which is it's a good thing to know. So I'm gonna go there, and actually I want it to go like mega big, like this big. Cool. And as you see, because I was on that keyframe in the timeline, it's like changed that keyframe. If I was just before that keyframe and I changed the size, you'll notice here that it's like created a new keyframe. But I don't actually want that right now, so I'm going to delete that keyframe. Cool. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and press play. And that goes super big, like mega big, and then goes back down to really small, and then back down to that size. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to affect the layer below it now. I'm gonna add some more keyframes. See what else we can do. I'm gonna open up this this video layer, spikeeyes.mp4, and this time I'm going to affect the opacity. Right, so the opacity is at 100 now. I'm gonna hit the keyframe stopwatch, and I'm gonna go up to 15 frames, which is half a second, because it's 30 frames per second. So 30 is 1 second, 15 is half a second. And I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna say 0% opacity, and that means I'm also gonna just so we can see what we're doing, I'm gonna toggle the visibility off of the party popper. So now we're just dealing with the video layer. So if we hit spacebar, it's gonna go from 100% opacity to 0% opacity. And what we can do, again, we can like copy these keyframes. So we can select those two keyframes. I'm gonna do Command C, or yeah, edit, copy. And then I'm going to go to 1 second, and I'm going to do Command V, or edit paste, and then that's going to paste those keyframes. So if I hit spacebar now, it's going to be 100, 0, 100, 0. And then I'm going to click and drag and select those keyframes. I'm going to go to 2 seconds and paste them, and I copied them before, yeah, I'm going to paste them, and then I'm going to paste them again, and paste them again, and paste them again at 8 seconds. So now, what you can notice is if you press play, it's going to basically be like fluctuating the opacity, which is kind of cool. And then, but maybe yes, as you can see, like because the layer behind, or the background of the composition is black, it's just fading to black. But maybe I want it to fade to like blue or something, or I want the background to be a different color. To do that, I am gonna create a solid. So if you want a kind of like just a block of color to play with, or whatever, within After Effects, if you go to Layer and then New, this is a little thing where you can basically make different kinds of assets within After Effects, which come up as different layers. So I'm going to make a solid. So I'm going to click solid, and it's going to come up with this little text box, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say blue. And then you can change the size of it and the color of it here. But yeah, it's all good. It's blue. I'm going to click OK. So now I've made a solid. And you can see here, it's come up as another layer. It's come up as blue. And with this solid, it's got all the same things. I can like change the size of it and undo, and I can change the position, all that kind of stuff. And you'll notice here that it's it's in the middle in the layer, so it's above the spike eyes. I'm going to put it below the spike eyes. So now you can't see it, but if you scrub along, you'll be able to see it. All right, cool. So now if I press spacebar, it's now going to blue every time instead of black, which is kind of nice. But maybe I actually want it to, maybe I want the blue to change color, actually, to not just be blue, but to be different colors as well. So now with this, I can come into, I can show you how to apply effects, right? And so I'm gonna toggle off the eye of the video layer as well. So I can just see the blue. And all right, so in this effects panel, it's got a whole bunch of different folders of different effects. That are all kind of grouped in different like areas. So like you got like a whole bunch of effects that are to do with blurring and sharpening, bunch that are to do with color, bunch that are to do with like distortion, keying, like green screening and stuff, and all this kind of thing. So I happen to know that in the color folder there is an effect called hue saturation, this one. So in order to use an effect, you basically, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can like select it and like drag it onto the layer, and you can like double click it. If you have the layer selected, you can double click it and it'll come onto the layer as well. But you'll notice that when I've dragged the effect onto the layer, it comes up here. So next to the project window is actually this window called effects controls, and this is where it displays your parameters of the effects that you're using, and it's up here. But it's also, if you do this little drop down menu on the layer, it's down here in effects. So you list little drop down menu and you'll see that the parameters are also here. So basically this and this are the same thing. And what you can do, you'll notice here it says channel range, and it's got a little stopwatch as well. I can click this stopwatch, and here you'll notice it's made a little keyframe. So what that's saying is that at this point on the timeline, this channel range parameter, for instance the master hue, is at 0. And if I change this master hue thing, you can see that as the degrees goes up, the color changes. So I'm gonna say that it's at 0, and then I'm gonna take the timeline slider and put it to the end at 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna drag this color parameter up to 360 degrees, and that's 2 more. Cool. And you'll notice that it's because it's one full rotation, it's gone to 1 with 0 degrees. So it's like one full rotation. And that means that if I go back to the beginning of the timeline and hit spacebar, it cycles through all the different colors and then goes back to blue. And another interesting thing I can do is this is going quite slow, right? So it's doing one full rotation of all the hues in 10 seconds. But maybe I want that to be like a lot faster. So I can actually select this keyframe and drag it over here. So maybe I actually want it to be like done in 4 seconds. So I can like let it go there and then go back to the beginning and hit spacebar. So now it's like it's moving through that rotation a lot quicker, and then it stops on blue because that's what that keyframe says. But maybe I want it to be like super fast. I can go to half a second, go back to the beginning and hit spacebar. Right, so then it's done the whole thing really quickly. And so that means that by setting keyframes and moving them around, you can kind of change the speed of things. You can change, you can compress some time, because moving the keyframe to the left means it's like shortening the time that keyframe, those two keyframes take to do that thing. And by stretching them out, moving them to the right, that like lengthens time. So that's a good thing to play with as well. But I'm going to take this keyframe and put it back at the end. And so that means yeah, I can hit spacebar again, and it's going like slowly through the colors. And now if I toggle the visibility on of the other two layers, and then I go back to being and hit spacebar, now we've made this kind of quite complex kind of like collage of imagery. And really quickly I'll show you how to add in some text, because I think it's a nice thing to know how to use text within After Effects. So here you can just use this T, which is the type tool, so you can select that and you can click on anywhere on the composition and start writing. I'm going to say VAV After Effects Basics. Cool. And then you can just click anywhere kind of in some dead space to like stop the text and finalize the text thing. So now basically I've got this this layer, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, so you can again command and minus zooms out and command plus zooms in. And now, yeah, I can see here I've got this is the layer, this is the text layer. You can also see down here that the text, I've just made a little text layer. And cool, so now I can, and you'll notice here as well, like some stuff is like outside of the composition, but it's still there, you just can't see it, and then you can drag it like so it's visible within the composition. I want it to kind of scroll across the screen, so I'm going to make it start here, go back to the beginning, open up the parameters, click the position stopwatch, and then move it to the end, shift hold while I click and drag so it goes in a straight line, and then it's made a new keyframe here. Cool, so now it's gonna, if I hit spacebar, it's gonna scroll, and then I can zoom back in, and also I can hear this is like some different zoom levels. If I choose fit, it'll fit the window that I put it in, no matter how big it gets. Yeah, cool. So then I've made this collage, and obviously the text, you can kind of change the color of it, you can change like anything about it really, like you can kind of add strange like warping effects and like make it blur out and whatever, like yeah, super quickly. Right, let's put a little blur on it. Like I can go here, put blur sharpen in the blur, and I'm going to I know that a Gaussian blur is kind of a nice blur. I can drag it onto the text layer, and it comes up with the effects controls, like the parameters here, and I'm gonna just make the blurriness like super big, super lots. Ooh, what's going on? Okay, cool. So now it's like super blurry, but I'm not gonna keyframe that. I'm just gonna keep it blurry. So that's that's how to make some stuff. That's how to make some kind of collages, and very quickly, I'm going to tell you how to export, because maybe that's useful to know. So what you want to do is select your composition here. I'm going to press spacebar so it stops. Select your composition in this bar. Like when you make new compositions, they'll come up along this bar here. Select your composition, go composition. Right now, I think it's just good to do add to Adobe Media Encoder queue. If you hit that, it might take a little bit of time for Media Encoder to load up. Cool, and now it's loaded up, and as you can see here, that it's got VAV comp here, which is what our comp name is down here. So yeah, Media Encoder is just another piece of software that's good at kind of rendering stuff, and it's the way to render stuff to MP4 because you can't do it straight from After Effects for some reason. But so you can just select this the blue text, which will open up this dialog box of your export settings, and here we can just go into format, and H.264 is a good one because that will make it MP4. And then preset, of all these presets, yeah, match source, high bitrate is a good one. And then output name, you select the output name and you can basically output it to wherever you want. I'm going to go into documents and just output it there, called VAV comp. Yeah, fine, save. And you don't really have to worry at this stage. Don't worry too much about all these other options. This one's quite good to select just as a basic one. Use maximum render quality, and then click OK, and then that's like okayed all those settings. Then you can just hit the start queue play button, and it'll render your thing. Cool. And then you can just quit Media Encoder, and then that's it. So hopefully, hopefully that wasn't too, like, I don't know, hopefully that was like followable and wasn't too long. What I would like you to do is basically, make a couple of these kind of collage things. Like this one we just made, where is it? Like, this thing, like, this is a sweet little collage. And like this one we made last time with the DVD thing. And just play with some kind of assets and some like putting together like images, video, sound, different assets, that kind of stuff, and some text. Just do it a few times and export a few things and see if you get if you run into any problems or whatever. Like I've just run into some problems now. Hopefully that's gonna be hopefully that's gonna be like cool. And let's maybe have a little go at doing that, and then let's see if you run into any snags or have any questions when we see each other IRL. Cool. I'll upload this to YouTube with some chapter markers as well, so you can like skip if you want to skip past any bits, or if you want to go back to some bits. Cool. All right. See you. Thank you. Bye.